Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, a bombshell rumor that could change the entire Texans offense going into next season. Could DeMeco Ryans be teaming up with a former coach of his to save the Texans offense? Well, I have all that and more on today's show. A lot of juicy rumors on tap. As we all know, some changes to the Texans coaching staff could be made by the end of this week. And that's why you have to hit that subscribe button for the latest around all Texans coaching news and rumors, the latest going on around the team. I'm breaking it down here on the channel. I got you covered here on Texans Today. We just passed 26,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed. And if you haven't already, it's free Texans content. If you love this team, if you love the Houston Texans, make sure to hit that sub button so you never miss a moment. So let's start off today's show by first saying this. According to multiple reports, Texans offensive line coach Chris Strausser will not return next season. He was debating retirement going into this year, and he was under fire from a lot of Texans fans throughout the season, saying, the Texans offensive line really underperformed and looked, let's not mince words, awful throughout this season. They did not look good at all. Besides Jeremy Chuggs, this entire Texans offensive line really struggled for the majority of the 2024-2025 season. And then I was, scrolling across X, and I see this tweet from Seth Payne, who I really respect his opinion. I think a really good follow on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it at the end of the day. I think he's a really good follow if you're a Texans fan. He said this: as the Texans reportedly will look for a new O-line coach, obviously, I just said Chris Strausser not returning, there's an interesting Chip Kelly dynamic. As head coach, Chip Kelly hired Eagles O-line coach Jeff Stoutland, who has been incredible in Philly. If he became the Texans OC, Chip's role in hiring staff could be as valuable as his play calling. Now, Seth Payne, he also replied to this tweet saying, everything is speculative. There's been no report that the Texans have reached out to Chip Kelly. There's been no report of, anything of this. It's just connecting the dots. It's just kind of like, saying, hey, who are some guys that are connected to DeMeco? Because we all know it's not about what you've done. It's about who you know. When you're looking for a new job, and this goes in any job that you're, trying to go for in life. It really helps to know people inside the building, to know who is making the hiring decisions when you're going after a job. So in this instance, if the Texans do move on from Bobby Slowik, expect a lot of guys in DeMeco Ryans' past, maybe a Chip Kelly, maybe a Kubiak, somebody he worked with in San Francisco. Maybe, one of those guys that he is familiar with could be the next offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. Hell, the Texans might promote from within, and it might be Jerrod Johnson. But I guarantee you it's going to be somebody that DeMeco Ryans has worked with or has crossed paths with in the past. It's going to be somebody that he knows. So first, let's break down Chip Kelly and talk about him as the potential next offensive coordinator, because that's the first domino in that Seth Payne tweet that needs to drop. Could Chip Kelly be the next offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans if they move on from Bobby Slowik? Well, he just won a national title game yesterday with Ohio State as the offensive coordinator. He has a ton of coaching experience, and as mentioned, he coached DeMeco Ryans when he played for the Eagles, and that could be a key connection for Chip if he's looking to make his return to the NFL, which Chip has hinted multiple times that he does want to return to the NFL. He does want to make that leap from college back to the pros at some point. And I don't know if that would be in a head coaching role, but I think the first step in that could be an offensive coordinator role. And like I said, that connection with DeMeco Ryans could become very helpful for Chip. As we were looking at Chip Kelly's coaching career, currently the offensive coordinator for the Ohio State. They just won that national title. Before that, he was the head coach for UCLA with a 35-34 record as their head coach. Before that, and I didn't even remember that. We were talking about like trivia in the office of one and done coaches, and the only two teams to have one and done coaches in the past 10 years, the Texans and the 49ers, Chip being one of those guys in 2016. Before that, he was the Eagles head coach from 2013 to 2015, and obviously before that, famously, the Oregon head coach, where he dominated college football for those 4 or 5 seasons with the Oregon Ducks. You know, I think Chip's a good offensive mind. He does come with reservations, and I think a lot of that comes with him being the head honcho, him being the head guy in charge. Whenever he's been a head coach in the NFL, ever since he left Oregon, he really hasn't had that same, sparkle, that same touch that he had at Oregon. He's had really good offensive teams. He's had really good, offensive output on his teams. But whenever he's been the head guy in charge, the head coach, it really hasn't all come together. So I ask you this. Would you hire Chip Kelly to be the Texans' next offensive coordinator if you were calling the shots? This is going to be the pinned comment. Go down and let me know. Would you be the guy to hire Chip Kelly? Would you want Chip Kelly to be the next OC of the Houston Texans? Let me know down in the comment section. Give me a yes or give me a no. I would only say yes to Chip Kelly as the Texans' next offensive coordinator if that meant the Texans also get Jeff Stoutland as the O-line coach. That will be a very important key to this because I do think Chip Kelly, he's a good offensive mind, but you look at certain instances in certain situations, look at this year. Ohio State lost to Michigan. He was going up against another NFL defensive coordinator in Wink Martindale on the other side, and Michigan seemed to have the upper hand. That defense really stifled this Chip Kelly offense. I think he's a good OC, but the key to this, more than Chip Kelly, I want Jeff Stoutland. And I'll tell you why after I tell you about our sponsors over at Game Time. They are my go-to ticketing app, and they should be your go-to ticketing app as well. The playoffs, it's here. There's nothing like watching a live sporting event, sharing those moments with friends and families. There's nothing like the playoffs, and even going to the big game this year in New Orleans. Whether you want to sit at the 50-yard line or in the nosebleeds, Game Time has you covered. They've got ticket deals right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. It's the best place to find last-minute seats. They have amazing, amazing features on this app. You can see your seat view before you even get in to the, even buy the ticket before you even get into the stadium. You can easily access those tickets on your phone, and it is the best place to find the best deals because with the new feature, Game Time Picks, basically filters out all the fluff and shows you the top deals on whatever event you're trying to go to, so you don't have to search for hours and hours, looking through thousands of tickets. They got the best deals on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Get started, whether that's, going to a playoff game or maybe checking out a Rockets game. Game Time has you covered. So, I teased it before talking about Game Time. Got to tell you more about Jeff Stoutland, the O-line whisperer, and really the person that got me excited to do this video, got me excited to talk about this story because he is regarded as maybe the best offensive line coach in the entire NFL. He's been with the Eagles since 2013, and what's the biggest problem that every Texans fan has talked about this entire season? It's the offensive line. So if there's a way that we can fix it, I think this might be the guy to do just that. The fact that Stoutland, he's been with the Eagles as their offensive line coach for 3 different head coaches. That speaks volume. I mean, he was hired by Chip Kelly. He stayed there with Doug Peterson as the O-line coach. He stayed there with Nick Sirianni as the O-line coach. If coaches are coming in, most of the time they're like, hey, I want to bring my own guys. I want to bring in my own regime. He's so good that the next guy up, the next head coach that came in said, no, actually, you're not the problem. We want to keep you as the O-line coach because you're that good, that important to this team. He is very well respected among NFL circles and inside that Philadelphia Eagles organization. And just look at the job he's done this year, not even talking about the past. We could talk about Jason Peters. Jason Kelce said he's the best coach he has ever had in his entire career. But look what he's done for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jordan Mailata was playing rugby before he came to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now he's regarded as one of the best left tackles in the NFL. Landon Dickerson, obviously drafted by the Eagles. He's coming to form as a all-pro, Pro Bowl style left guard. Cam Jurgens, the center drafted by the Eagles. He has been kind of brought through this Jeff Stoutland system and is an amazing center. Mekhi Becton was thrown away for scraps by the New York Jets. Comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and might get the bag this offseason as a right guard and has really revitalized his career. And Lane Johnson, for the past 10 years, has been regarded as probably the best, if not one of the best right tackles in the entire National Football League. This Eagles offensive line, the success that this Eagles team has had over the past 10 years, those two things are directly connected. The Eagles offensive line has been the motivating, has been kind of the push that the Eagles have had over the past 10 years when you talk about their success, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs. I mean, the Eagles, once again, are in the NFC Championship game. You want to know a huge reason for that? Watch that game last week up against the LA Rams. It was a snowy game. What was the difference in that? Those huge runs where Saquon was able to bust off long runs for touchdowns, and he was untouched because that Eagles offensive line, that running scheme, and that system that Stoutland runs in Philadelphia had it to where it was easy touchdowns for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think that could be the missing piece in Houston. So if hiring Chip Kelly means we're getting Jeff Stoutland, I am 100% in because I want this man in Houston more than anybody else this offseason. Any free agent, any draft pick, whatever. I want Jeff Stoutland in Houston. Now, does that happen if the Texans hire Chip Kelly? Will he automatically come to Houston with him? That is yet to be seen. That's a huge question mark because, like I said, he's been there since 2013. He might feel comfortable. He might say, hey, I don't want to leave Philadelphia. What I've built here, what I've grown here, I'm perfectly fine with staying here for the rest of my tenure. But if Chip Kelly could convince him, say, hey, Jeff, I gave you that first opportunity in Philadelphia. I really, really would love if you would come help me revitalize this Texans offensive line, this Texans offense, and help me get C.J. Stroud and this team over the mountaintop. Maybe Stoutland at least hears him out on that because obviously that connection goes way back. Chip Kelly hired him in 2013. Could he maybe convince him to come over to the Houston Texans? And as I reported yesterday, multiple people, Cody Stutes also saying DeMeco Ryans said he will take the end of this week to make a decision on the Houston Texans staff, and we all know what that means. We know that's Bobby Slowik. And at the end of the week, we'll have our answer whether or not Bobby Slowik will be returning as the Texans offensive coordinator going into next season. So hit that subscribe button. Make sure you stay tuned because as soon as we get that news, I'll be breaking down a video here on the channel, whether he stays or whether he goes. If he does go, we'll have OC replacements. I'll tell you the latest I'm hearing around the Texans and their coaching staff and the latest news and rumors around this team. I got you covered here on the channel. So make sure you hit that sub button and never miss a moment of Texans football.